Today's video is going to follow a trend that you are likely going to see more often in the future of my channel. It's a bit of a departure from the usual, the typical gameplay discussion or tips video that I've mainly spent my time making in recent memory. Today I want to talk about Overwatch YouTubers, clickbait, and really invite you to take a look behind the scenes. Take a look at what goes into making a YouTube video, what kinds of decisions you face on a daily as an Overwatch YouTuber, and some of the struggles that may not be apparent to the viewer. Don't get me wrong, this is not going to be a circle jerk with myself about how terribly I am off making YouTube videos, nor am I going to attempt to defend the act of clickbaiting or excuse any immoral practices in the industry. And the so-called Adpocalypse is certainly going to find a place in this video as well. As it stands, my channel is doing reasonably well. I just want you guys to take a look at what it's like from our perspective, just for the sake of it. With that said, feel free to minimize the video and play some video games, clean your room, or do whatever, because you will mostly just see uncut gameplay used as background footage. And that's again because it's not about the gameplay today, and I want to keep the production costs as low as possible. With that said, let's stop wasting time and finally get into it. Despite popular belief, most YouTubers are very well aware of the criticism that is uttered in response to their content. It's not like you leaving a comment calling us garbage goes unnoticed, it's just that most of us really don't care. In the grand scheme of things, as a YouTuber, these comments have absolutely no effect on our work, just as little as dislikes do. All you did was contribute to our engagement statistic, why would we care? But of course, that does not stop us from taking criticism seriously when it comes with, well, legitimate intent, such as wanting the content to improve. Complaints of one of my most recent videos having a terrible title given the content it ultimately represented, as also some people being upset with me practicing legitimate clickbait in regards to the 3 most powerful abilities in Overwatch video, have certainly not gone unnoticed. Now what I know for a fact is that a big part of my core community enjoys my content for the very reason people criticize these 2 uploads in particular. It's the act of toying with expectation. It's something that in my case I don't only enjoy doing, but is also quite frankly necessary. Reality is that a lot of the people who complained about my title not properly representing the content of the video itself would have likely not clicked on the video to begin with if I did title it in a boring way that they expected me to, and I want to present some of my reasoning for why I did what I did. For a small channel like myself, there's a lot of competition. One thing that makes me stand out between these videos next to a near incomprehensibly disgusting accent is the fact that I cover subjects other channels don't care about, subjects they don't dare to discuss, and the fact that I keep toying with expectations over and over again. I had a decent amount of my community celebrate the so-called clickbait I practiced in that very video, with me making a joke of the concept of clickbaiting itself in that upload. Naturally, this is not something all people would be fine with, hence the complaints, which were very well legitimate. And despite these complaints, I did the same thing again 2 weeks later. YouTube is not a platform where you and I as viewers are supposed to go out, find channels we think are okay, and complain until they make their content in the way we want them to. YouTube is about finding the creators that you enjoy the most. A lot of the YouTubers present their content in different formats with different editing styles and so on. Odds are that you will find someone you like in that bunch. The reason I decided to ignore the few people who complained about me practicing clickbait, next to them not understanding how attracting new audiences work, was because I'm looking to build up an audience that appreciates content that encourages them to think for themselves. In most of my videos I present my opinion. In some videos I present a subject matter itself with very little opinion. And in other videos again all I try to do is give people a rough guideline they can use to keep improving themselves. What you have to understand as well is that the vast majority of viewers are looking to have their viewpoint reinforced rather than challenged, meaning there's very deliberate intent behind a video that in its title pretends to agree with them just to force a different viewpoint on these viewers. It means you reach an audience that is supposed to see this type of video because they might have been guided by misinformation up until that very point and never wanted their opinion challenged, while you just baited them into a video that suggested to agree with them just to present another viewpoint, and to some viewers that will finally make them think twice. If you only try to appeal to viewers that agree with you anyway, you might as well all sit down together and tell each other how awesome you are because you're always right, which, spoiler alert, we're not. And I try to get my viewpoint challenged in an intellectual and logical way as often as I try to challenge others. I am not looking to build up a community of people who just agree with me all the time, and that is the beauty of my comment section a lot of times. My core community proves to me over and over again that they are capable of taking my videos as guidance for further discussion among themselves. Hell, I very often have people present viewpoints contrary to what I presented in my video with things topics I never even thought of myself. And that's because I'm only one person, and I like to engage in discussions with these people whenever possible, which usually happens in the first couple days of my video going live. It is fun to have my viewpoint challenged, and I enjoy thoughtful discussion with the individuals that decide to spend their time not only watching my videos, but also adding on to it by discussing it in the comment section. One thing that is worth noting here is that I refuse to take on the spot as a community figure only because some people will label me as such. The idea that only because I'm making YouTube videos I'm suddenly held to a higher standard than your average viewer, to me is nonsense. You wouldn't believe how often I had people tell me that my videos were poorly researched, and once I confronted them with the sources backing the content up, they flee to the moral high ground of claiming that I am in the responsibility of delivering 100% accurate information at all times, whereas they are allowed to make blatant assumptions with no evidence backing it up. No, my job as a YouTuber is not to spread positivity, it's not to deliver 100% accurate information either. In fact, a lot of my content is based on speculation and discussion for the sake of discussion. If I decide to make a video complaining about things that I perceive to be flaws in the game, then I have my reasons for making that video, and you are free to like or dislike it to any capacity you desire, and I will never object to that. What I do object to is the idea that I am held to higher standards than your average Overwatch player only because I spent my time making videos about the game. I am not a government-funded news or education channel. I make videos on whatever I deem interesting, and that is really the bottom line here. But make no mistake, playing the YouTube game, as I like to call it, is particularly important for small channels like myself. This is why you will see videos that are rather mainstream orientated, discussing popular, time-restricted subjects, basic guide videos, and so on. We do that because we small fishers try to leech off of the audiences from bigger channels, because we are under the impression that if we were exposed to a large enough audience, at least some of these people would find our content interesting, and the best way of getting our unique content into people's suggested videos is by sprinkling mainstream type uploads into our schedule in between. In my case, obviously I try to put a spin on these videos. With me being a slow editor, there's no way I could compete in the race to be the first when it comes to covering news topics, so I tried to take a mainstream piece of news and discuss it in a way that is unique to my channel, titling it similarly enough to get suggested next to the big guys, but unique enough to bait people into clicking on it in the first place when they just saw that piece of news itself presented by said big channel. My mantra when it comes to making YouTube videos is that the video will be as long as it needs to be to convey the message I'm trying to spread, and that is really the bottom line. In a lot of my videos I could have easily saved anywhere from a minute upwards to 5 minutes if I decide to just mention what is essentially the point of the video, but that again would encourage my audience to blindly believe my assessment disregarding sources or even logic for that matter. One thing I do in almost every discussion piece is adding context. I preface my video by talking about something that surrounds the subject matter I'm about to dive deeper into. That context allows my viewers to distinguish between facts, which I have taken from some sort of source like the game itself or a forum post, and my opinion. It allows people to not only see how I got to my conclusion, but also explore my thought process. They might agree with that, or they might find flaws in my methodology, and that is important to me. Naturally, when it comes to the production of my videos, I go through my script multiple times before even doing the voiceover, and then in the editing process I often find pieces I remove because I find them unnecessary. Sometimes that works better than other times. Maybe due to time restraints with me having a bi-daily upload schedule, I believe it's called, or working on videos in a sleep-deprived yet highly caffeinated state, mistakes happen. By the way, that caffeine addiction has not started with YouTube. It all stems back from my time working in event management with 16-hour shifts and 7-day work weeks being the norm, so I have grown very attached to that magical substance. But anyway, when it comes to the 10-minute clickbait, it's always a very touchy subject. I do my best to space out my longer videos for multiple reasons. Recently, I had a few of such videos in a row, which you might think is great for me because I make more money, but actually ended up hurting me because my watch time suffered. To give you guys some context, every partnered YouTube channel can monetize any of their videos disregarding their length. But once you hit 10 minutes, you are allowed to put an ad at the end of the video as well as creating ad breaks in the middle, all of which obviously generate additional revenue. Now, I am not going to deny that there are channels out there who litter their videos in ads just to maximize their profits, and trust me, I am annoyed of it as well, but ever since I started making videos myself, I started to look beyond just the video, but also the production that went into it. If you compare my most typical 5 to 8 minute videos to one that's 10 to 15 minutes long, with my type of content, production cost increases exponentially. Now, I use that fancy term because my channel is a signed business and I feel important saying it. Obviously, the only cost that is directly associated with my videos is my time, the labor that I put into them. What you have to understand about my type of content and any channels to make videos similar to mine is that every minute added to it can drastically increase the time it takes us to make these videos. Sometimes I have to prepare a bunch of short videos in advance to create enough space for me to dedicate a few days just to working on a single long video. In that sense, these short, mainstream-oriented clickbait videos just fund my passion projects of longer videos where I often talk about subjects that I find very interesting or things that are important to me. And if you look at my history of videos, you will notice that my longer videos traditionally don't do as well as my shorter ones, and yet I do keep making them because these are my passion projects. And this video right here is no different. I am very well aware that I spent a long time talking about things that most people don't even care about or would click on in the first place, but this subject is important to me and I want to talk about it. Now, I am facing one big problem here. As I said in the beginning, I did not dedicate any fancy visual editing to this upload to keep the production costs low. And if I don't put a lot of labor into a video, I don't want to put a midroll into it because I don't think the effort warrants it. And that's what I have done. I have only included midrolls in videos that took a long time to make, but the problem is that YouTube obviously also makes money off of videos that are A, longer, which means that users stay on their website, and B, have more ads in them. So in recent memory, despite me hating the act, I have included midrolls in longer videos of mine, even when the production cost does not necessarily warrant it. And that's because growing my channel is incredibly important for the sake of sustaining my income, which means that for the sake of being able to keep making videos, some of you will have to endure annoying midroll ads. That is going to be a very awkward pause if you use adblock or if your view was not monetized. By the way, did you know that not every view is monetized? YouTube does something that is essentially adapting ads to a viewer's behavior, or at least they try to and sometimes fail miserably. That means that they try to only show long ads to viewers who have shown tolerance for these types of advertisements, for example. There are many different ad types and they attempt to only show their type of ads to people that they believe they are willing to watch. But even beyond that system, not every view is monetized, even when you are someone who displayed a high tolerance for ads. Why that is absolutely beyond me. But now that we're talking so much about ads and money, let's talk about the Adpocalypse, which is something a lot of channels overall use as an excuse to either beg for money or litter their videos in midrolls, saying they can't make a living otherwise. Now, there is no way for me to disprove these claims. What I can tell you about my own channel is that my CPM, which is essentially how much money you get per 1,000 views, is currently fairly decent. In fact, the so-called Adpocalypse did not affect me for any more than a couple months at best. Obviously, that does not hold true for every channel. I have a few friends with way bigger channels than mine, both in subs and views, but their CPMs are either just really low by default for some reason, or they never really recovered from the so-called adpocalypse. Naturally, that can have a lot of reasons and is not necessarily tied to that event. All I can say is that I have an absolutely fantastic core community that on occasion has even told me to put more ads into my videos because they want me to keep making them. I have the absolute luck of having a community that graciously donates to me on Twitch. Some of them even subscribe to me over there as well, despite the lack of incentive with fancy emotes or anything, and some of them are even actively watching ads that they could have skipped while telling me to use more ads so I can keep making a living off of this. Not to mention the absolute mad lads that watch my videos through YouTube Red, which, just for your info, if you watch a channel's videos through YouTube Red, the creator's CPM for your view can get up to 10 times higher than from a regular view. It's actually insane, and that I'm incredibly gracious for, and it makes me glad that I am always transparent when it comes to my stance regarding sponsored content, advertisements, and so on. Obviously, I will not put more than one midroll ad into a video because that is an incredibly obnoxious thing for any kind of content that isn't like really freaking long. In which case I even appreciate the ad breaks that remind me to go get something to drink. But again, I don't make videos like that, so there is no reason for me to ever put more than one midroll into my videos. Bottom line is that channels litter their videos and ads because they want to maximize their profits. They also do it because YouTube promotes videos that make them a lot of money, and some of them also simply leverage the benefit of having a community that is willing to put up with 5 midroll ads just for the sake of hearing their opinion. There are just too many incentives for a creator to do something like that. I am very much against practices like that because it only further encourages people to use ad block, which obviously destroys the very foundation that my business is built on. But I also understand this struggle of declining what is essentially free money on the table. I mean, if most of us were put into the shoes of one of those big creators and we would see the opportunity to literally double or triple our revenue with a few clicks, the least of us would say no to that. And you may shout sell out as much as you want. Reality is that when tempted, most of us would simply give in. I mean, even I look at my own videos and sometimes think to myself that I am missing out on additional revenue by not stretching my content for just a few more minutes. I mean, just to put that into perspective, and that's with a very small channel like myself, let's take my 3 most powerful abilities in Overwatch video, which ended just shy of 10 minutes, and compared to There's No Need for Overwatch YouTubers, which is almost 11 minutes long and has 1 midroll as well as 1 ad at the very end when the video is over. Both of them have about 10,000 views, and yet the one with the midroll literally generated 3 times the revenue. That is a massive difference, and you're trying to tell me that if your boss offered you 3 times your salary just for annoying a few people by trying to hand them flyers, you'd say no? That I find hard to believe. Now I look at the time and try to avoid having this video spiral completely out of control in its length, so let me just wrap this up with some summarizing thoughts. YouTubers, particularly small ones that don't adhere to mainstream content, are often required to toy with viewers' expectations. They have to try to convince someone to click on a video that seems familiar enough to expect something they have already liked, but different enough to warrant them watching it in the first place and get some sort of value out of it. When people say clickbait, that honestly very often just means smart marketing. It's not clickbait unless the subject matter presented in the title was not discussed in the video at all. Presenting it as though it holds a specific viewpoint just to then defy that very point in its content is not clickbait. But the technicalities of it don't really matter because the viewers will call it clickbait either way. I just want to put that out there. And when it comes to creators who milk their communities and sell the F out, honestly, most of us would fall to that kind of temptation as much as they do, but that does not mean that we have to excuse it. If you don't like that a creator puts a lot of ads into a video, or even just one mid-roll bugs you too much, do the only thing that's reasonable. Stop watching their content. My viewpoint is that if you want everything for free and you expect YouTubers to provide entertainment of any sort without any sort of payback, then quite frankly I think it's only fair to expect you to stop consuming YouTube content. Because the labor goes into these videos that you watch, and if you think that's not real work and they don't deserve payment, then you don't deserve to consume their content, because what you're saying is absolute BS. But again, leaving stupid comments and dislike bombing videos of a creator you don't like does not help your cause, it helps them. Just vote with your feet. If you don't add to their view count, watch time, or engagement rate, that will show them that they are doing something wrong way more than anything else. Angry ranting aside, my voice is completely beat. Thank you all so much for your continued support, whether that be monetarily or just by being an awesome part of this community. You make this adventure as being a full-time YouTuber very exciting for me, and I hope that I can keep making videos that you guys enjoy. But this is me done for the day, so as always, don't forget to drop me a like on your way out if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and have yourself an amazing day.